Hi, welcome back to the Addicted Motors YouTube channel. My name is Troy and this is a 1993 Mercedes G-wagon 290 GD, and it is an imported daddy G-wagon. This is a real G-wagon. This is not a posh, overpowered electric vehicle. This is a tried and true body on frame, solid axle, twin locker, manual, diesel, tough, slow truck. And I want one. I still want. I mean, I can't afford one, so that's why we're talking about this. And really what I'm getting at is this is the truck that all of us Land Rover Defender guys, Land Cruiser 100 series guys, what we'd all want if we had a couple bucks. This is the ideal thing, right? This is what we want. So let's be honest, every Land Rover guy wants a Defender, they want a G-wagon, but really they don't own G-wagons because, let's be honest, again, they can't afford them. But as the prices of the new ones continue to skyrocket into the hundreds and $200-some thousand, like everything else, people start to scrape the bottom of the barrel, and this is not the bottom of the barrel, but to see what else is out there that replicates an experience like that, and it's interesting and capable, and maybe, you know, something you don't see every day, and that's what this is. This is an imported, again, it's a 93 290 GD. It is a W461 chassis code, body on frame, civilian spec military vehicle that was never really imported and sold at retail, I guess in a Mercedes dealer in the United States, but due to the recent changes in laws, not changes in laws, but popularity importation, you're now going to start seeing a lot more of these Euro or global spec civilian G-wagons, if you want to call them that, on you know, on the street. Now, what is this? This is, again, this is not a 02, 03. This does not have a V8. This does not have an automatic transmission. This barely has heat and AC. It does have heat and AC. That's just primitive, right? This is, you know, this is how these trucks were designed. This is the military-ish version, or the original version, like a Defender, like a Jeep, of how these trucks kind of came about. And I'm not here to give a history lesson on them, but this is, you know, the stripped down version of what you could probably see in a rep. So again, what is this truck? This is a truck that is actually for sale. It's a customer of ours. We will be selling it. So full disclosure, this truck is for sale. Again, it's a 93. It is a W461. So it's got an OM 602 inline 5-cylinder non-turbo 5-speed manual transmission, front and rear solid axles, and it has differential lockers that are hydraulically actuated. So again, this is a stripped down, you know, crank windows, bare bones version of what people, you know, usually refer to as something that's pretty posh, expensive, and luxurious for a fraction of that price. Now again, these things are synonymous with, you know, either capability, quality, or wealth and class, and it's for a good reason. They really are built quite solidly. I think my biggest comparison is driving this back to back with a type of period Defender, and this definitely feels like a more kind of put together, solid vehicle. Anything that's boxy, has round headlights, is diesel powered, and from this kind of era has a chunky, solid feeling to it. But, you know, again, I think like I showed with the red one that we had, can't kind of really beat that that Steyr kind of build quality, and they've really withstood the test of time. So I have the SEC in the back to kind of contrast the two types of vehicle that were kind of built in this time period, right? You've got, you know, the big body, pillarless V8 powered coupe, and you've got it's big, but it's still, you know, tractor powered 5-speed inline diesel wagon, if you want to call it. Now this truck is only covered, according to the odometer, 39,000 kilometers, and it's in very good condition. You know, I like to kind of judge these trucks on the kind of restorations they've had, because most of these have been kind of touched and polished and you know, massaged into better condition in European countries, and that was done with this one. But I think they did a pretty good job. Again, the current owner had this in the military in Guam, and it was kind of his kind of back and forth on the base vehicle. And you know, these back seats, they look like they've never really been sat in. It has the third row bench seats and everything. And you know, the way this was done, it was done, I think, fairly tastefully. It's usable, and it has space for a lot of people and things. Now you've got, again, 3-pedal setup. There's your transfer case actuator. Again, Mercedes, before all these manufacturers kind of did things the same way, kind of the locations of the linkages and everything, usually we're used to them up here. It's down here. Here's your hydraulic actuator for, I think it's your center and rear differential locker. You've got this shifter that looks like it's out of a 190E, honestly, and for a truck, it's interesting. It's very low down. You know, radio, lights, HVAC controls, just a few buttons here, but really nothing wild. There's no stock on this side, just one stock for the wipers and turn signals. You've got your crank mirrors, sorry, your crank windows, and kind of big, you know, very usable rear mirrors. Now this particular truck has had a, I guess, again, a light restoration, if you want to call it that. You know, paint, probably with some body work and whatnot. And it is in very presentable condition. I love this kind of desert tan that it's finished in. It matches the wheels. We're going to add new tires to it and go through some basic maintenance items at the owner's request prior to sale. But it's not plagued by the usual rust issues that the ones we've seen before around the taillights and whatnot. That was probably taken care of when this thing was painted. But again, the paint's in very good condition. There's definitely blemishes and dings and little spots here and there worth noting, but nothing that really kind of jumps out. Like I said, all the underbody and everything is in very good condition. Fairly clean under here as well. So again, this was not a US truck. This truck has only been in the States for a couple of months. And lived mostly in, apparently, Spain and a couple years in Guam. So it's clean and pretty much a salt-free diet. All right, so driving the G-wagon. A little bit of glow plugs needed. It's been a cool night and it's off. And let's fire up that inline 5 turbo diesel. Fires right off. There's your e-brake release. You gotta carefully don't catch your thumb on the little console here, because it is right there. Let's see. Now, the biggest misconception that I've learned of people that are interested in a baby G-wagon, right? If you want to call it this, an elderly G-wagon, a father G-wagon, I'm not sure what you want to call it. Just not a US spec V8 G-wagon, is they don't realize what the difference is in the gearing and the power for pretty much daily driving. I personally am a little more used to less than powerful vehicles. I think this makes 95 horsepower stock without the turbo, and it shuttles the weight and the mass of this car around in a efficient manner, but that doesn't mean necessarily that it is geared for the highway. I think this thing really tops out comfortably at around 57 to 65 miles an hour. I'm sure you can push it more than that, but you know, at that speed and with the gearing this truck has in it, it's not the most you know, encouraged way to run this engine. But the shifter feels nice and engages right there. I mean, I kind of thought that the lower shift handle would be a problem or an issue just due to how high you sit up in the truck, and it's not. That's kind of in conjunction with the awesome visibility. It's like a greenhouse in here. The mirrors are great. You can see everything. You don't need a backup camera or anything like that. It's just plenty of visibility all over. But driving it does take a little bit of planning and whatnot. It's slow, and that's just what comes. It's just part of the deal here. Let's kind of give it a little bit. Let's kind of foot to the floor in a second. 20 miles an hour. I think the 0 to 60 logged for this truck is 25 to 27 seconds, which it definitely feels like that's what it is. My foot's all the way to the floor. in fourth gear. We might be at 35, 40 miles an hour. But again, it keeps up around town. But this particular truck, you know, like I said, you don't have a rev counter. It's very basic. It's very simple. It's very utilitarian. It's exactly what everyone who wants something like this in this spec is after. It is not what someone who wants a cheaper alternative to a G500, G550, or a G63 AMG. Those buyers, I don't think they're cross-shopping this model. So when you're in the market and you're looking for a specific G-wagon, make sure you pay attention to those body codes, the transmission selection, and the engine selection. They were offered, I think, with a turbo diesel later on in the run, and inline, I think there's an OM 10 or M103. Just eventually you get some more engine option, but in this particular kind of Euro spec, civilian spec, you're not going to get a lot of power. But braking is good. The brakes are confidence inspiring. Steering on this one is has a little wander to it. We might be able to tighten up the steering box or check some of the bushings there. The owner, again, is willing to have us check it out and put some money into it to ensure that it's good to go. And then, you know, proper condition for the next owner. That probably includes getting some new tires. These are date stamp 2020. But for some reason are dry or have cracks in them. So we would like to put some bigger MTs or ATs on. I think that'll kind of complete the look of this truck in general. But that being said, this truck is a ton of fun. I get a lot of looks driving around. It's recognizable to all social classes and pretty much anyone who's seen a car before. There's lots of interest in it. Again, being it's a lower spec or you know, utilitarian spec, it kind of, again, it appeals to all people, and you know, everyone has some type of story associated with a truck like this. Now this particular truck, I believe, is going to be priced in the low 40s. So if you are interested, shoot me an email or find me on Instagram at Addicted Motors, and we can chat about pricing and any other questions you may have about this specific truck. Like I said, I'm just kind of getting to know it. I took it home for the weekend, and it's impressed me a little more than I thought I was going to like it, just by the fact that I can get a little bit of more power from this 5-cylinder than we did in the M110 automatic 2-door that we had previously. And the fact that it has 4 doors, again, a little more space, a little more usability, great headroom, very comfortable. I like the paint scheme. I like the color match wheels. It's just enough restoration that it's not corny, and it doesn't look like they tried to do anything corny besides make it look, you know, updated and period at the same time. So I'm a fan of what was done here. And yeah, and it drives nicely as well. If I can get a little more, let's get the mustard going. Oh yeah, 30, 35, maybe 40. Just gonna back her down. So I think that's gonna wrap up this video. Again, just a kind of a quick once around of a truck that we've recently put into consignment. Again, a neat truck. It's a very usable truck. It's the sweet spot with that M602. It's just enough power to get you down the road, not enough to get you in trouble. I think they put a 617 in here as well, which probably wouldn't have been enough to really pull this thing along, but definitely has that kind of utilitarian tractor experience in the solid platform, which is the G-wagon overall. So it's a cool kind of, again, juxtaposition of many different kind of quality materials and how things all come together. It's just a neat truck, neat experience, and I hope you liked it. Check me out on the rest of the videos. Please like and subscribe to the rest of that YouTube stuff, and we'll see you on the next one.